everyone, welcome to the DevOps Planet. In this video, we will see how we can launch AWS Ec2 instance using Terraform and also how we can configure Apache2 on that instance using Terraform. So in my previous video, we have already seen how we can launch Ec2 instance using AWS CLI and the AWS console. In this video, we will do the same thing using Terraform. So for this, first you need to install the AWS CLI. So that I have already covered in my previous video. You can watch through and also you can get the link of that video in my description. So let me verify that my AWS CLI is configured or not. So I am executing this command to check. So I got the bucket list. It means that my AWS is configured fine here. The second is we need to install the Terraform. So to install the Terraform, simply go on Google and type Terraform install. So you will redirect to the Terraform official documentation for that. So you need to just follow the documentation based on your operating system type. So if you have the homebrew on OS X, you can follow this one, for Chocolatey this one, for Linux this one, and these are the steps which you need to follow for the Ubuntu machine and same for the others. So once the Terraform installation is done and the AWS CLI is configured, you can start with the launching instance process using the Terraform. So for that, I have already written the Terraform code in my repo. So let me go through this repo first. So in this repo, you will see there is a main.tf file. This is the file where we need to write all the resources which we want to create in the AWS. So first of all, I am writing the security group resource here. So I am creating a security group. I am passing the security group name and the description. And here I am creating two ingress rules and one egress rule. So the first ingress rule is that allow port number 80 for the public access, because we will configure the Apache2 on this instance, and that is by default accessible on port 80. The second ingress rule is for the allow the SSH access on that newly launched instance. So the default port for the SSH is 22. So that's why I have passed here the port number 22. The second is AWS key pair. So to log in into the EC2 instance, we need a key pair file. So I am creating a key pair here. The key pair process is slightly different than AWS console and the AWS CLI. Here we need to pass a public key file from our system. Based on this public key file, we can access the system. So that I will show you how we can access the EC2 instance using these files. So I will pass my system public file here during this demo. The third is we are creating the AWS instance. So in this instance, I am passing the AMI ID. So I am using the Ubuntu version 2.2. You can pass the AMI ID based on your requirements. I am passing the instance type. So I am using the T2 micro, and you can configure that based on your requirement. Similarly, I am adding a tag name here, that is instance name, and the security group. So you see in the security group, I have passed the security group which I am creating here. So that is how we can pass the resource values that are created in the Terraform. And similarly in the key name, you can see that we are passing the same variable which we have passed here. Apart from this, here I am creating an elastic IP. So I am attaching an elastic IP to my EC2 instance. So here I am passed the instance ID. This is the AWS resource which I am creating, and this is the ID of this instance. So that's how we can pass the one resource output in the other resources. And this depend on this EC2 instance that I have passed on depend on parameter here. So this elastic IP will be created once the instance creation is done. Now here I am configuring that instance to install Apache2 and configure the Apache2. So I am using the null resource here, that is the name, it could be anything, and I am making connection using the SSH. So the default port is 22, the username for that image is Ubuntu, and in the host I am passing that public IP, that this one, the elastic IP. So that public IP is the output of this resource, so I am passing that here. And in the private key, which is basically a PEM file, I am passing my system ID RSA file. So once the connection is successful, it will execute these all commands. So here I am just installing the Apache2. I am removing the default index.html and I am writing this thing, these values or this data in my index.html. So this is our main file where we configured basically that how we want to create our resources and what are the resources we want to create. There are some other files also. So the second file is variables.tf file. So in this file, we declare all the variables, what are we passing in our main.tf file. So we declare our variable, we told the type of our variable and we pass some default value. So if any variable value is not passed, by default, it will read this value. So if you want to pass the values of these defined variables, then there is a file terraform.tfs. So in this file, you can pass the values. So as you can see the security group name, default I have passed this one, but in this file, I have passed this value. So this is the value which will be picked up by the Terraform script when it will create the security group. And if you are not passing any variable value, then it will pick the default one. So for the instance AMI ID, I am not passing any value here. So it means the Terraform will pick this value as the AMI ID. So there is another file that is provider.tf. So currently we are creating the AWS resources. That's why our provider is AWS. For the other cloud like Azure and GCP, the provider change respectively. And there is another file that is output.tf. So in this file, we are defining that what we want to print by a Terraform script once the instance creation part is done. So that is the public IP. So I am printing the public IP of that newly created instance. So now let's see how we can use this code to launch a new EC2 instance and also how we can configure the Apache2. So for this is my repo. So I will clone this one. So click on this and I'm using the HTTPS and the command is git clone this one. So it has cloned the repo, that is this repo. Now inside this repo, if you will see that there is a file idrsa.pop. Currently this file is dummy file which is blank. So we need to pass the public key in this file. So for this, first of all, we need to create the public key. So the command is ssh-keygen. So by this command, it will create a public key and private key on my system. So press enter. So now it has created the public key and the private key and also it has shared the path of those files. So now I just need to copy this idrsa.pop file into my the Terraform repository. So I'm typing the copy command, copy pop file. Here. So if I go to inside my repository, inside AWS folder, EC2. So if I get this public file, so you see it has updated my system public key here. So to create the resources using the Terraform, there are three commands which required. One is Terraform init, the second is Terraform plan, and the third is Terraform apply. So first command is Terraform init. So this command will download and install the required modules and plugin which we have defined in our Terraform files. So the initialization has been completed. Now the next command is Terraform plan. The Terraform plan command us a brief idea that what resources will be created during those scripts so that we can go through the plan, we can verify all the details are fine, and if look something is wrong, then we need to check that. Okay, so the private key is not here, that's why it's giving error. Let me change that. Okay, So to logged in, it need the private file of my system. So I need to copy that also. So I am copying the private file of my system on this location. So now I have passed the private key and the public key of my system. So again execute the Terraform plan. So now it will give us the brief idea that what are what resources it will create it. So if you scroll up, it has give us the detailed plan that it will create an elastic IP. Then it will launch an EC2 instance. It will use this AMI ID which we have passed in our default variables. Then it will use this size which we have passed in our Terraform.tfvars file, and the name of the key which we have passed in our Terraform.tfvars. Similarly, the other configurations, it will create the key pair. Now it has read the public key file, public key data from the idrasa.pub file, and it will create a security group, and in this security group it will create two ingress rules. One is for the SSH and another one is for the HTTP, which is required for the Apache2. And then it will create that null resource. So it will install some command as we see in our main.tf file. Now the final command which we need to execute is terraform apply. So this command will give us a plan, and then it will ask for our confirmation whether we want to create the resources or not. So only the yes is acceptable. If we are passing anything other than yes, it will treat it as no. So it is asking the value. So it has said that only yes will be accepted to approve. So I need to type here yes, and it will start creating the resources in the Terraform. So it has created the key pair. As you see, the creation complete. It has created the security group. So meanwhile it is creating the details, we can check the console itself. So if I refresh my security group page, I can see the security group is here. Same if I refresh the key pair page, I can see the key name is here. And in the security group, I click on the security group and check the rules. So the two inbound rules we have. One is HTTP and one is SSH. Those are publicly allowed. So similarly, it is creating the instance. So it says that instance creation is completed. So now let me go to the EC2 page and refresh it. So we can see a new instance has been launched, and currently it is initialization stage. Okay. So if I scroll up the output of this command, so you see once the instance creation is complete, it started the remote execution. So it tried to connect with the EC2 instance. So here it says that it has been connected, and now it is executing those commands which we have passed in our main file. So these are the commands which we have passed in our main file. So basically it will install the Apache2, and it will update that index.html file. So if you scroll down here, it says that it has been done, and it gives us the output as the public IP. So now we have configured the Apache2 on our instance, and we have already allowed the port number 80 in our security group to be public accessible. So if I copy this IP and paste it on browser, so I must be accessible to this server. So you see the page is visible. So that is how we can launch AWS EC2 instance using Terraform, and also we can execute the commands. So these commands could be anything I have used to configure the Apache2. You can install the DB or any other tools. So I hope now you are clear that how you can launch the EC2 instances. Now if we want to destroy these resources in a one go, so there is a command that is terraform destroy. So this command will give us a plan. Sorry, it is terraform. This command will give us a plan. So now this command will tell us that what resources it will destroy. So again, only yes is acceptable, other values will be treated as no. So it shows us that it will destroy those provisioners, it will destroy the security group, it will destroy that key pair, and other things like EC2 instances it will destroy, and the elastic IP. So if I type it yes here, it will delete all these resources which we have created. So the elastic IP so the key pair destruction is completed. The instance has been starting destroy. So if I refresh the key pair page now, so we will see that key has been deleted from here. Same for the security group. If I go back and refresh the page, okay. Okay, so it is EC2 instance has been terminated. So once it is terminated, the security group also deleted, because the security group is attached to that instance. So it will take some time. Okay, so now we can see the security group also has been deleted, and you will see the output of this command as 5 resources has been destroyed. So that is how you can create the EC2 instance and delete the EC2 instance using the Terraform. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching this.